What's going on, everybody? It's Ted again here with CountdownCityGeeks.com. I got another fantastic interview for you. You've seen her in such iconic films as Blade Runner, some nostalgic hits as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and her new project has her going head to head with Guy Pearce's cowboy character that you see up here in the background. She is the one and only Joanna Cassidy. How are you, Joanna?
Good. Looking forward to talking movie.
Which is such an amazing project, and I hope you and the rest of the cast is really proud of this one because it's a western with some supernatural beats, and it's also just so unique in the style and the script, and I love that it's sort of different from any other western that's come before it. So first, tell us exactly how you got involved with Killing Faith.
I got involved with the movie 4 years ago, actually, and maybe it's a little bit longer than that. But somehow I know what it was. We all met downtown to go to a screening of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and we're sitting with Deborah Unger and her partner Torsten, her husband now.
Hmm.
And David said, David, the producer, David Martin, said, I have a script. I think there's a part in there I think you'd be wonderful for. So would you like to have a read? And I don't generally, take a script from people because it's kind of it gets a little obligatory. It gets a little weird sometimes. And I just
I
said,
bet.
I know your friends and let's do this. Send it on. I read it. I thought, oh, this is great. This is very unique. And the reason it took 4 years is because it was the end of COVID. So we had COVID. Then uh, it actually went through a series of different actors, the males for the lead,
Oh, wow.
and they wouldn't, commit one way or the other. Then the strike came up, and very fortunately, I happen to have been on the Screen Actors Guild, the SAG-AFTRA board for 25 years. So uh, I was able to use my credibility, to push it up there. And so I did, and I got it shot.
Absolutely. The movie is Killing Faith, and I need to talk to you about this character, which I'm going to try and hold as many details back as possible because you are wonderful in this role. Where did you find the inspiration for Maggie, who's a very, let's just say, complex individual?
Well, it was because at first there was a decision about where she was from. Was
Mm,
she was from Boston or from the South, or and once you get into that, then you're dealing with accents, etc. And I happen to know because the gold rush time and that, the 1850s, I've read a lot about it, and people came from everywhere to find gold. They
mm.
came from every part of the country, so it was kind of a matter of how it fell, the rhythm of the words, and it just seemed like let's go a little southern. Let's get her a little bit maybe from Virginia kind of thing. And she was at one time a lady who possibly had had, had some money until her husband spent it all, just left her with nothing. So there she was on the road, and she's a practical person who knows what needs to be done in order to survive.
I actually would love to find out more about Maggie because she's rough around the edges, but you described her wonderfully, and I feel that she probably has a very fascinating past that could be explored if somebody wanted to. Looking out there and seeing if your friends want to give you another project where you can play more of Maggie. but this was such a great role for you, and you're also in this scene with some fantastic individuals, DeWanda Weiss, and then
Thank
you're
you so
also working with Guy Pearce, who I've been a fan of since I first saw him in Memento. Just talk to us about this one scene in particular that you're in, regarding all these individuals. Are you guys sticking to the script? Is Ned allowing you guys to explore the scene a little bit and improvise a few things? What was the shooting schedule like? Go into what you guys had to do to really pull off this really tensious moment.
Well, first of all, you're working with a child, and children have they have a certain amount of time.
Sure, sure.
It's very limited, and they can only be on the set for so long, and then they have to end up at a certain time in the evening, and it's got to be a teacher
Mm.
there, and a mother there, and all that stuff. And um, also, it was a very independent film, so and it was it was always on, off, on, off. The weather, the timing, getting Guy there. Initially, the movie was going to be shot about 6 months earlier, but there was a problem with Guy Pearce's traveling papers.
Oh,
Somebody
no.
forgot to fill out the form, so
Oh, no.
we couldn't get him over. And then, as you're getting more towards the summer, then those unbelievable storms take place um, in the Southwest. And oh my
Mhm.
gosh, so we would get on the set 5 o'clock. Now, mind you, by this time, I'm very good friends with the producer and Ned, the director. And
Mhm.
so, because I'm truly a reasonable person, I kind of go with the flow. And so it was, okay, Joanna, can you come now? Sure. No, never mind, never mind. We're a little backlogged here. So can you make it in 3 days? Of course. No, how about next week? Oh God, guys, you're killing me. Anyway, so time went on, and I got there. Of course, the first night, and they have the whole setup out there in the desert next to this incredible rock, and we were somewhere between Santa Fe and Albuquerque.
Mm.
Long drive out there, et cetera, et cetera. We had a rehearsal, come back, makeup is on, everybody's chill, the little girl's there, the mom's there. We're all ready to go. It starts to storm, and can I tell you, I mean, it wasn't just a storm. I don't know what it was. It was like the sky was falling. I've never seen rain come down like this, and the lightning. And now I shot in Santa Fe before when I did Ghost of Mars. So
Mhm.
and so I know those storms. I'm familiar with them. And what happens is, if there's still lightning, they can't start shooting after it stops. You have to wait
Right.
a half an hour because of the remaining, I guess, lightning. Something's in the air. I can't tell you exactly, but anyway. So,
Gotcha.
and everyone's going, "Oh my gosh, our little star
She's asleep?
is asleep or has to go home." And well, so, and then of course we went out and had to sit on the chairs and sit on the props, etc. Coming, and now there is this much mud.
Oh my god.
We're walking through mud. Everything is soaking wet, and we've got to get this scene going. And everyone's a little frustrated. It is now 1 in the morning. We have not shot all that time, and we get out there. We're ready to go, and we start to go, and then up, got to go for lunch. Going, oh my god! And of course, our little star. Interesting. She comes from I think like about 8 or 9 children, and all the kids in the family are movie stars. They're
Oh my
all
gosh.
They're all little children. They're all working in television or film, whatever. Anyway, but everyone was terrific and very cooperative. And I had all the lines, of course. So that night, and Ned was limited, very limited with time. We didn't get to come in and do close-ups. He did one uh, shot where he comes in and you get a pretty full look at Maggie, but
Mhm.
we could have done more. We could have done a lot more. I would have loved playing with it more because it felt like a one take deal. That's what it felt.
Mm.
Here's the other side of it.
Uh-oh.
We only shot one side. So I had to come back, and then we had to shoot Guy and Dewanda and Jack and the little girl when she was over there. Oh, it was complicated. But sometimes the best films, the most interesting films are done, you know, have gun will travel style, and things happen as a result of it, things
Mhm.
happen. So it was a wonderful exercise in patience and resilience and ability to make it look like that night.
That's so many challenges, and I think I had spoke to Guy about, filming outdoors, filming in, New Mexico, and yeah, some of the challenges you guys faced. Also, I think he told me you guys filmed around summer, which I thought was absolutely crazy, but it sounds like that wasn't the original plan, so, more respect to you and the rest of the cast and crew for battling it out in those elements because it is I live in the South, Southwest sort of,
Oh,
so it's yeah, it's unbearable sometimes in the summer,
we
and
just
which we're
forced them
finally getting
that
out.
way. They had to be dying of thirst.
Oh,
That's how
yeah.
it's written. But it was going to be a big change had Guy come earlier when it was winter, when we had permission to shoot there, and all these little elements. But I thought it was very right. And aside from the huge storms and deluge, it worked out fine. It was the weather, temperature wise, it was pretty good.
Did you and Ned have any other discussions or collaborations regarding, Maggie, and were there any specific ideas that you actually brought to the set that, either really worked and Ned loved it or something that Ned might have asked you to try that you weren't, really sure about beforehand?
What I did was I made a tape. I read the scene with another actor and sent it off to Ned, and he said, "Oh, great! I love the sound of it, and let's try a little bit of this, try a little bit of that." And my energy determines how I'm going to play something. Now, mind
Sure.
you, I could have been a little older, but I didn't want to do it that way because basically, and without you know, you know, something going on with her of tremendous energy and willpower. There's no way she would have made that. I mean,
Mm.
females at the time would have, they were very strong and they had to take care of the children, the men, the feeding of people, but you know, they were little ladies then, but they had to have fortitude, they had to have guts to get through an experience like that.
They had to be resilient, yeah.
So he said, "No, it sounds good, Joanna, but I like what you're doing with it." And because it was not again because it was not a big film, who has time to go over
Mm.
it, go over it, and go over it? You just you get on the set, something happens with the other actors. You've got to. It was a lot of exposition, so I had to get it said. I couldn't take a lot of moments to, you know, would have loved that, but we didn't have time for that.
No, not at all. I can't let you not talk about some of my favorite films and possibly your favorite projects of the past. Blade Runner, by my count, turns 43 this year, I believe.
I think so. Mhm.
What are some of your just one or two fondest memories of being a part of that unique, magnificent project?
Hi, Ruthie. I'm saying hi to my cat. Um, I well, I never got to do the dance, and
Mm,
I did the. We had it all rehearsed the entire film time. I was rehearsing. Um, the dance was going to be so phenomenal. Sid Mead, who drew up the cars and all these situations, and he's passed now. But one of the actually Ridley was going to shoot it like that. It was a very theatrical, an arena that the seats went way up like a cone, and
mm.
in the middle of it was a pile of sand, and both the snake and Zhora were going to emerge from the sand, meet, the sand would drop away, and then Zhora was going to begin her dance.
Wow.
It was going to be spectacular. We never got to it, and then my dear friend Tamala D'Amico and I, uh, we conjured up doing it so many years later. I think it's about 11 or 12 years now. We did the dance.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube. Obviously, it wasn't with a sandbar or
Right, 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 right.
we did it in a day, and I rented snakes and uh, did the dance.
You
And
went all out. That's fantastic.
yep, yep.
I also got to talk about a project of yours, a movie that has really meant a lot to me, especially growing up. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I can rarely think of another film that I've seen more growing up, or that has really been impactful to my childhood. If you when I think about it and I look back and I think about how bold it was to not only, have animation crossover with live action film, but also to have animated characters crossover from studios. I mean, that today in today's world would it, take mountains of legal papers and lawyers and deals and whatever else to pull off. And yet, this film back in the late '80s pulled it off, and you actually got to work with someone who was also iconic in entertainment, the great Bob Hoskins. Um, can you share with us a memory, either on or offset, between you and the great Bob?
Absolutely. Um, well, there are two great Bobs, Bob Zemeckis and Bob Hoskins.
Bob Zemeckis, yep.
Yeah. So, but Hoskins was a genius. He was not only was he mentally a genius, he was also a physical genius. He really could, because he was shorter and had a good girth going on. He was able to like almost spin like these characters, if you know what I mean.
Mm,
It all fit in, it all worked. And I've talked to a lot of the animators after the experience, and during we shot it in Pinewood Studios in England, half of the film, then part of it was shot in LA. And they just said it was so easy to frame him out, with the Looney Tunes, because he just the way he was built kind of made it easy to
sure.
draw these crazy. little beasts around him. I
Right.
was disappointed that there wasn't more of a scene between Dolores and Bob. I was disappointed in that, but hey, that's just and he said, "Well, you really can't be." I wasn't always a redhead, born a redhead. You can't be a redhead in the film because we've got another redhead in it, so you're gonna have to brown up your hair some. So I did that. I We ended up doing tons of takes because in the bigger scenes because there were so many uh, departments that needed to come in on time
Mm.
and it all had to work. So sometimes we'd be on the set, and under the set would be the puppeteers and the guys spinning the plates. And so, I mean, you can imagine here are actors on the set, and then you've got all this other stuff going on, and you've got three cameras going, and it was film, which is a different beast altogether from digital. And they were long days, long days.
Yeah, it must have been a massive undertaking. Like you said, juggling all those things, both metaphorically and literally. Um, but then there, some sets you guys had completely animated, which wasn't done all that much in that day and age. You know what I mean?
No,
And
I
you're,
that was the last of its kind, really,
mm,
where everything was hand drawn, and it was like it all began, in the old days, frame by frame by frame by frame. And there was a studio disconnect. Everyone was saying, "Why is it taking so long?" And uh, we don't know if the money is going. It's always like that because it was so very unique. I had wonderful times with Christopher Lloyd.
oh my gosh.
What an incredible actor, character, and a human being he is. Um, they were all just so great. Kathleen Turner wasn't on the set to do the voice at the time. She just voiced it in a studio later on. Um, and it was like being in a beehive, actually. I'm serious. All the you had the worker bees, you had the queen bee, just producing the honey, and everybody was at it.
That is a wonderful way to describe that. And I very few films have actually been like foundations or like keystones of my childhood. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen that movie, and it's always perplexed me that we haven't had an attempt at making some sort of sequel or
Talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. They were going to do it, not too costly.
too costly.
Just too
Yeah.
costly. I suppose it could be done today with uh, AI, and
Oof.
it could be pulled together. But why try and redo something that's so spectacular? It was spectacular.
Yeah. It really was.
I was very fortunate to be in. I'm glad you related to it so much. I saw it recently, and it was so loud. How can anybody go through this? These poor children are their eardrums must be exploding. Hi, Lucas. Hi, Lucas. What are you doing down there? What are you doing? Sorry.
want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me about this project, some of your other projects that you've worked on. But before I let you go, I'd like to ask you to spend just 10, 20 seconds to kind of tell folks at home why they should go see Killing Faith.
First of all, every review that I have read so far, it got a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really great. Uh, every review I've read has been over the top, and they described my character as eerie. Like that was one of the adjectives. Um, uh, they've all said, "What an unusual Western! We've never seen anything like this." It's the music, all the elements of the film are getting, popped up as something just so rare and unique. And uh, I mean, it's one of those films you have to go back and see it again because you went, wait a second, I missed you. Who did that? Oh gosh, I've got to see it again. I mean, I think that's the thing that rings true with a good movie is you want to go back and see it again because you've missed something. And all the performances in the film are really spot on. They're just everyone is hitting a different tone and a different beat. And you went, how did they ever put all these crazy people together? But they did. They did, and they made it work. And some of the last scenes with Guy and Bill Pullman are just spectacular. Doesn't get any better.
Absolutely right. Could not have said it better myself. It's an incredible cast. I've already mentioned DeWanda Weiss. I've mentioned Jack Alcott. Guy Pearce is incredible in this. You mentioned Bill Pullman. How did I not mention Bill in advance? And also, Raul Trujillo is.
Yep,
I'm a fan of his as well, and he's remarkable. And
yep.
you, Joanna, are also incredible in this project. Joanna, thank you so much
I have one
again.
more thing to say.
Oh, please go
You
for it.
asked me if I had a project. Okay, I'm not going to say what it is because I can't, and
Mm.
I haven't done it yet. And I always feel like that's a little bad luck of you. But I will be working opposite the most famous Mexican man in the world. That's all I'm going to say. You can guess about that.
I'm already sold. Say less. Thank you so much, Joanna, for taking the time to speak with me today. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ciao.